It's Rhema Afternoons with Tom and Di.
Got Wee-Yeong Eyou with us from Making It On My Own to look at parenting, particularly teens, and how to get them in a position to make it on their own, step into the world of adulting. And well, first of all, welcome to the show, Wee-Yeong. Good to have you with us again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me again in this festive season.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm interested because before you wrap up the year, I see you've actually got something happening in Christchurch at the end of the week about teens and parenting teens in the digital space. Yep. And I just thought, it would be good to touch on this because I know my wife was away today and she was saying, look, can you just do something with the boys so they're not sitting on devices all morning? And I can imagine this is a conversation happening in households a lot at the moment as the holidays kick in. So is there something, that we can, some things that we can do to help with this conversation?
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I teach parents in parenting workshops is this concept of Lighthouse Parenting. In a nutshell, what Lighthouse Parenting is, it's the opposite of helicopter parenting. And it's something that's quite common that you hear about, hovering, doing things for them, correcting them. So the opposite of that is about lighting the way for them to go and letting them run along with it, involving them, discussing boundaries with them and so forth. So the Lighthouse Parenting philosophy is what I use to help guide people, especially in the digital age, but it can really apply to all aspects of parenting.
Okay, I like that idea of lighting the way. When it comes to the digital space, how do we do this? Because often we come into this space with a negative mindset. We're worried, we're concerned, we don't want our kids to be on there all day, with good reason too, right?
Absolutely. If we cast our minds back, say, 20, 30 years, the equivalent to the digital space is the great outdoors, climbing trees, running around. And, there are dangers back then. And our parents obviously have some concerns back then as well. So the playground today for our young people is the digital space. So I would say the first thing for parents to do, and I'm guilty of it as well, is to not view the digital space as the enemy. Technology is not the enemy, right? Because I think a lot of times young people, they shut down or walls go up when we nag them about technology, or our views are always negative. But then they also see us on our phones as well and our devices. So there's this whole thing of, hey, actually, you're telling me not to use it, but you use it as well. So I think it's starting with actually being honest with them to say, I don't think it's bad. I don't want you to not be on your devices, but let's actually talk about balance.
Okay.
I mean, that's interesting because I often find myself saying, hey, look, I've been on technology all day. Yes, but it's been for a purpose and doing something. When you guys are on it, it doesn't seem to have purpose. That's where the frustration is. I'm often finding myself saying to my wife, I don't know where the middle ground is. It either seems all or nothing. Is there middle ground here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's very common for us to be able to look at anyone that's different from us to go, I'm not sure what they're doing has purpose, right? And I think one of the things that a number of years ago, when my kids were about 12 and 10, they started getting very involved with the sport of speed cubing. In order to learn how to solve a cube, you learn it from YouTube, a lot of YouTube videos. And a lot of times it's about the community online where you actually learn from each other. You cube together, you have your videos on, and they were spending a lot of time on their digital devices. And they started making videos, like editing videos and so forth. So they were actually on their devices. So I had to really think about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And in that season, I started to really begin to understand, actually, there's a difference between the usage of the device. Are we consuming or are we creating, right? So I began to discuss with my kids, hey, look, we need to have a balance here. So I don't want you just to consume YouTube videos all day for 10 hours. If you agree with me that you will spend some of that time learning something or creating something, then that's okay. But obviously, there needs to be a limit. And that's why we've got digital use software installed on all the devices that my kids have.
Okay.
Right. Can I just jump in there? Because the other thing that has come up occasionally is the idea of a contract to be used with your kids around technology use. Is this something that you advocate for or use?
Yeah, absolutely. We still have on our walls really old contracts from back like 8 years ago, and it's all faded and all that with handwritten signatures and so forth from when they were younger. And we laugh about that. But, we've been using written contracts with our kids for a long time. And sometimes we think that our kids are too young to understand. But, you'd be surprised actually when you sit down with them and explain that we're not trying to stop you from using devices. There just needs to be balance. You explain the difference between creating and consuming. And you actually sit down and you write down what acceptable use is. And you get them to provide input as well. So Lighthouse Parenting involves getting them to give you their thoughts. And you'd be actually quite surprised that our young people, they don't want to be on their devices all day. Sometimes it's just boredom. They just don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And so if we guide them, if we give them alternative things to do, if we write it all down and we agree on it, both sides, then we can start to hold them accountable. It actually works. I mean, I used to be quite skeptical about it, but it's worked for us. So
Okay, well, that is a whole bunch of encouragement there, because I think as we are in the holidays, or for many parents, their kids now are on break, you're sort of like, well, what are they doing all day? Are they on their devices all day? Well, providing some guidance there is certainly helpful, right?
Head along to the website, miomo.com, miomo.com. Wee-Yeong, thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it. And of course, a Merry Christmas as we count down the days.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys.
Thanks for joining us on Rhema. Now, if you found value in today's content, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel with the subscribe button. This really helps us to continue to produce more quality content for you. And hey, if you'd like to stay updated and never miss any of our future videos, ring that notification bell as well. Don't forget to follow us on our other socials, which are in the description below. And until then, stay tuned.